I think people are now realizing, or probably will soon more realize, just how social interaction does help. And they'll probably be more technologically savvy, and maybe even continue working from home.
Okay, we are with Jaison Stein. Jaison is a partner and owner at Geeks at Work here in Boone, North Carolina. And they are in high demand right now because of the technological situation we find ourselves in. COVID-19, as we all know, has just really upended our work days, how we're learning right now, how we communicate. And Jaison and his team is really helping a lot of different people navigate this situation. So Jaison, thanks for coming on. I wanted you just to talk about how we can do this thing better, this teleconference thing like we're doing now, and all the many different things that we're forced to figure out technologically.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Fortunately for us, we are an IT company, so we are essential. So we are actually still open, and our employees are still running around. Like most businesses, we're still being affected. I'll be honest, we probably have lost probably about half of our work, but we're doing more of the break fix and working with folks who are doing this teleconferencing, e-learning, working from home, schoolwork at home now. So yeah, we're still moving right along, and we do have some tips that we can hopefully help folks to improve this.
Yeah, I know that our team in our office has been really scrambling to try to figure out, how do we work from home? How can we access a lot of data? A lot of us use big files. How do we do that remotely as a team? Any words of wisdom there on, I know it's complicated, but any words of wisdom there for teams that are trying to work remote?
Right. So, what we're using right now, for example, Zoom, and is of course the most popular web conference currently. There are other services such as GoToMeeting, AnyDesk, TeamViewer. Zoom seems to be the most easiest to use, fortunately. Sharing files, especially large files, you can use services such as OneDrive, Google Drive. Microsoft Teams is another good product.
You're an expert in this field, but is there anything about this sudden shift to this digital world that surprised you?
I would say personally, what surprised me the most was how it surprised most other folks. One of the things that we try to instill in customers is disaster recovery, doing just this, having something in writing. What will happen if I can't get to the office? Creating a backup cell service, or VoIP service, which is phones through the internet, voice over IP. They can be accessed from anywhere, things like that.
Yeah, and I'm sure that as a tech guy, you guys tend to think about worst case scenarios and security, and how do you make sure things are backed up, and you probably think that way naturally.
So even in the IT industry, we kind of see people at their worst. Their computer breaks all of a sudden. They spill water on their laptop. They're finishing their last day of paperwork. The router goes down. They can't access the internet. They can't do anything. So we kind of see people at their worst. And, that's what we're here to do, is try to fix that as soon as possible.
Yeah, nobody calls you just to say everything's working great. How are you doing? It's always an emergency, right?
Correct. Yes.
So that leads me to my next question is, how can we take advantage of this, if we can? How do we make the most of this situation as businesses, as individuals, students,
I always like using video, even though I don't like being on camera, but, it does help get the message across, and for learning purposes. As a quick example, my kids last night, they take karate in town. He has now gone over to Zoom. It was a little unsure how that was exactly going to work, but it actually worked really well. I was impressed, because you do have that interaction with it.
Yeah.
And that's probably the best way of doing it. And there are some quick tips that, as far as improving that experience. one quick way I notice is there's a lot of, and we've probably seen it ourselves, people will pause for a minute, and that's just because the internet is busy. Even Netflix and Hulu and Amazon have said they're going to pull back on their bandwidth that they push out because of that. Zoom, for example, they all have this, but Zoom, for example, you can lower your quality on your camera. By default, it goes to high definition. Since we're usually using an iPad or even a small screen like my laptop, you don't need 1080p or 720p. You can lower that quality, and that'll help the pausing and the hesitation that you see. And that's
Got
usually in the camera settings. It's just one quick tip.
Cool. Is there any other quick tips that you would want to share that you think we should know about?
If you don't have internet or if it's just not working right, we do offer public Wi-Fi now here as of this week at our parking lot. The entire parking lot is covered, so families can come up to our parking lot, stay in their car or sit on the roof of their car like the old times and watching a movie, and use the internet to do their school or work.
Wow, that's a
And that
nice
is
service.
free at this time.
That's awesome. Very nice service. So those of us who are not naturally inclined towards technology, any advice for how we adapt?
Technology has obviously come a long way as far as ease of use in the services that there's a lot of services out there. I guess that's the most, I'd say, probably complicated process is what service do I use? Everybody's competing for this now market, and what's the best, and what works the best. So it's really just finding the right service. Now, fortunately, a lot of these are either free or cheap, especially now, so you can easily move to another service. But, it's just really signing up, trying it out, do a test run, seeing how easy it is to use. If you need any help, just give us a call. We can work with you on that. All these services work on your phone, your tablet. We are finding more folks use tablets and phones than computers nowadays, unless you have a business.
Mm-hmm.
But they all work great. In fact, on yesterday's Chamber of Commerce Zoom meeting, I was in the car on my phone, and it worked great.
Yeah, that is pretty cool. I've done at least one of these interviews with somebody on their phone, and honestly, it might have been the best looking one that we had.
I have noticed that too. Sometimes the cell connection is a lot better than your internet connection.
Yeah.
And a lot of folks can use that as well. There is a way you can use your cell connection as your main internet.
Yeah, that's a good tip for staying healthy through this. Any other thoughts on how we stay healthy, as individuals or businesses in this space, in this difficult time technologically?
All of your wireless router, your cell phone, the Bluetooth, does emit radiation. Again, we could talk about this for hours, but long story short, that radiation can affect some people more than others. Since now we are dependent on all of that, maybe you bought a better wireless router, you bought a better phone, throw the phone into the living room when you're sleeping, instead of on the bedstand. Maybe shut off your wireless router. You might notice a difference in the quality of your sleep, things like that.
Other than the fact that your services are in incredibly high demand right now, but is there any other silver linings that you can point to that just would kind of give us all some hope?
Other than the fact that I guess people are going to be cleaner now, not kidding, but I think people are now realizing, or probably will soon more realize, just how social interaction does help. So when this is over, I think my hope is, and I already see it now. I mean, I'm impressed with Boone and the Chamber and how they've been responsive to this, how they're helping all the businesses out and the residents as well. So I'm hoping to see more of that, and I think we will, especially when it's over. People are going to be, more friendly, I think, because they realize, once you lose something, you realize, what you didn't have, what you had, if you know what I'm saying.
Absolutely.
And they'll probably be more technologically savvy, and maybe even continue working from home if it works now.
Yeah.
But
Well, thanks, Jason. Really appreciate your time. We'll let you get back to what you do best, and thanks for your work.
all right, well, thank you for your time. I really appreciate this.